What is up, expats and travelers alike? It's Josh, and I'm here with a big contributor of ours, Trevor Jones, as he is stuck in quarantine. Today, he's going to talk about quarantine life and then also what has led him to South Korea to be in quarantine. So, it's an awesome love story. Let's first start out talking about quarantine life in South Korea.
Quarantine in South Korea, man, at my national quarantine facility, also known as the Marina Bay Hotel. Yeah, man. What do you want to know? Where do you want to start?
It's not Alcatraz, is it?
It's not Alcatraz. I I talk I talk bad about this place because I don't want to be here, but honestly, like it is a place I would probably stay in for vacation.
Well, how's the pool?
Um, I wouldn't know, man. I wouldn't know. Yeah. No, I was like, when I found out that I'd have to stay at this facility and that it was a hotel, I was like, okay, well, at least I can hang out at a hotel for 2 weeks. But no, it's not, I'm not stuck at a hotel for 2 weeks. I'm stuck in a hotel room for 2 weeks. I'm not even allowed in the hall. They will yell at me if I leave my door open for too long.
So, do they seal the door or what?
The door's not sealed because I do get to open it um, 4 times a day, 3 times for meals, and then once for a temperature check.
Okay.
So, but yeah, you're not supposed to open it for any other reason. There's like the PA system. They'll make announcements. Meal delivery is over. You can go get your food now. And we've got these little tables outside of our door that they just leave our bento boxes on. And so we just go out, grab our food. At lunchtime, we're supposed to deposit our trash, um, and then close the door. And then sometime between lunch and dinner, they'll come by. They'll make an announcement saying, "Hey, we're going to come around for temperature screening. You put your mask on, open the door. They ask that you're fully clothed. So far, I've obliged, but we'll see. We're getting into the later days of quarantine, and my patience is running thin. But
Yeah, so you're 7 days in, you're halfway there.
yeah, they just and then they show you 36.5. You log it in the app, and then you go back to whatever you're doing.
And how's the food been?
The food's actually been really good. If you like Korean food,
I love
but
Korean
they
food.
do. I do too, man. At least for now, but we'll see. It's a lot of food. I don't think I've finished a whole meal yet because they'll give you a big box with like all kinds of veggies and protein and just other good stuff. And then on top of that big box, which is enough food on itself, they'll also give you like a thing of rice, um, and some sort of dessert. So it's a ton of food.
Well, it's not a meal in Korea unless it includes rice. I mean, I think any good Korean will tell you that.
Yeah, the rice is good if I have room for it. If I do get sick of it, I can change to one of the other menu options. You got Korean, Western, halal, and vegetarian, and but you can only change once. So I've been very content with the Korean. I don't think I'll risk it. I'll risk changing it at this point. But if you're like, oh no, Korean food, not for me, you have a choice. Don't worry.
So a big question that people have is who's paying for it? Are you having to pay for it or is the government?
Yeah, no, I'm paying for it when
Really?
I
How
get
much?
checked in. Yeah, $100 a day.
Ooh.
So $1,400 paid up front upon check-in. Before they give you your room key, you have to pay $1,400. They give you the receipt. You go into your room, you shut the door, and that's it. Like, say goodbye to the other people who are with you in the hall. Like, as you're getting into your room, you're like, okay, good luck. And
Well, let me ask you two more questions before we get into why exactly you're there. The first question is, do you get fresh air?
I do. I
Okay,
do.
so
I
you
have
can
a
open a
window.
window. Nice.
Yeah, I have a window that I can open. If I get really claustrophobic, I have I have one of these beauties where I can break open the window and use this rappel kit to escape. So if I'm really desperate, I I'll be okay. But this is like nuclear option. I'm gonna save it for later.
Yeah,
For now, I'll stick with cracking the window.
that's probably a good idea. And by crack the window, you mean open it slightly, not smash it with a hammer.
Yes, good distinction.
And then the other question is, do you have any idea how many people are in the facility?
I do. I do have an idea. Only because the last couple days, the internet here has been shockingly bad. We're talking like can barely connect to send a text message.
Which is
Or
odd
like,
for Korea because Korea is really well known for their internet speed.
yeah, they brag about like, oh, we have Wi-Fi in the elevators. So the fact that I haven't been able to stream anything, at least during the day. At night, everyone goes to sleep. The bandwidth opens up and it's fine. So I called to complain, like, hey, what's going on with the internet? Like, we got to get this back up. And they're like, yeah, sorry, we're just like the hotel is almost full, but we have 100 people leaving today, and that should free things up. So I imagine if it's almost full, 100 people leaving, if that's a large amount, I'm guessing there's somewhere like probably around 1,000 people here right now,
Wow.
based on the size of the hotel. Um, the When I look down my hall and I see the bags, like the trash bags and the meals that are left out, um, and I know there's multiple floors of us because somebody on the 14th floor found me on Instagram. And we've been communicating. So,
That's a good time to drop your Instagram. Go ahead. What's your Instagram account?
oh yeah, yeah. So he found me at Travel and Trev, and
There we
we've
go.
been talking and encouraging each other through this trying time.
That's good. That's good to be social in that way. And I mean, you're both in the same situation, so that's nice. Sympathy, empathy. I don't know which word to use here, but
Absolutely,
um,
misery loves company.
that's it, man. Well, let's get into it. Why in the heck are you in Korea? We know that this story starts about 12 months ago. We've been talking to you. You've been contributing on Expats Everywhere for a while now, and we appreciate that. We love you for it. But how did we get here? How did we get from the UAE to Korea?
Yeah, I moved to the UAE in August of last year, right after I proposed to my fiance. And I say that because she plays a big part in the drama that is unfolded. Okay, I proposed to my Korean girlfriend, which is some foreshadowing there, in Singapore. Then moved to the UAE. Proposed in August. We met up She came to visit in October. We set a wedding date for July, and then we went our separate ways again. And then met up in Turkey for Christmas break. So once we left, like I left a couple days after New Year's to go back to work, and haven't seen her since then.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk a bit about that winter break. You guys were in Turkey. What were you guys able to do? There weren't any issues there at the time. You thought, okay, we're going to see each other in a few more months' time. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So the plan there, leaving when we left Turkey, we were confident that we were only going to have to wait about 2 months to see each other, because we had spring break rolling up and they were offset. So she was going to come visit for a week, and then we had a week apart, and then I was going to go to Singapore for 2 weeks. So we had like 3 weeks in the books. Like literally, like when I mean in the books, I mean the tickets were booked. Um, and then end of February, beginning of March, that's when Big Rona rolls up and just starts shattering plans all over the world. It was early March, because remember, Singapore was one of the first countries to get hit,
That's
to
right.
get hit hard.
Yeah.
UAE was also one of the first countries outside of East Asia to have
To,
confirmed cases.
yeah, and to really react and have a big reaction because we did a
Mhm.
video on that, and that video actually trended really well. BBC ended up picking it up, BBC.com, I should say, ended up picking it up. So that one has quite a few views. If you guys want to check that out, we're going to link it here so you can see it.
My school tells me, hey, you're not allowed to travel to Singapore. You have to cancel you're not allowed to go.
Mm.
So I had to cancel that trip. Her school tells her, hey, you're not allowed to leave the country because if you leave, you're probably not going to be let back in because borders are shutting down. So we have to cancel both those trips, and we're like, dang, that really sucks because we were only like, I think we're like 9 days away from seeing each other. We have a countdown app, and like over the course of this whole ridiculous journey, we've been within single digit number of days of seeing each other, probably like 5 times, and then have to push it back. It's been infuriating, really.
Man, that's rough, dude. And let's talk a bit about what you guys are planning to do moving forward. So back in March, things were cut off and you actually had to call off your wedding in the US. You had set the wedding date back in October and were making plans and people were starting to make travel plans. You were going to have your wedding this summer, but what happened?
Yeah, man. Like everything was set, ready to go. Invitations were out, venues were booked, vendors were booked. Like everything was just ready to go. And so canceling it like we thought was going to be a big issue, but it actually ended up being a really easy process because what we ended up doing is we're having a YouTube live broadcast ceremony, and we've actually just postponed the reception to a year from the intended date. And that
Okay.
was actually really easy. We just contacted all the vendors and just said, "Hey, can we postpone a year? Like same weekend, different year?" And every one of them, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Just, no, it didn't cost us anything to change the date. We didn't lose any deposits. It was just sure.
Brilliant.
I'll update that on your contract, no problem. Halas. So yeah, so that ended up being really easy. And then we set a date for June 21st in order to do our live broadcast.
And that was going to be in Korea, where you are. Well, not where you are, but in Busan, South Korea.
Right.
And what happened?
Right. So first of all, we decided to do it in Korea as opposed to the US because in the US it takes like on average around 6 weeks to get the marriage certificate.
Yikes.
Whereas Korea takes like 3 to 5 days.
Okay.
And that's important because we're supposed to move to Hong Kong on July 10th.
Hmm.
And without that marriage certificate, she can't come with me.
Aha, okay.
So since we don't have 6 to 8 weeks and we've waited enough, we've been apart enough. Like we're not waiting another 6 to 8 weeks to do that. So we come to Korea so we can take advantage of that 3 to 5 day period.
Right. And so 7 days ago, you were not in quarantine. You were catching a flight from UAE to Korea.
Correct. So I leave the UAE, bags packed. I'm like moving there for good. And there was just drama at the airport because again, COVID's a crazy time. Flights getting canceled, and no notification sent out at all. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I find out that my flight got canceled from just a dude on the sidewalk. And I call to confirm, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's canceled. You didn't know?" So Emirates to the rescue, though, because I was able to book a direct flight to Seoul, like last minute, like literally 2 hours before the flight took off. I was able to get on the plane.
How much was that, and was it full? Was the flight full?
No, there was so many. I think like most people had a whole row to themselves.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And was it like
Yeah.
crazy expensive or $1,000?
It was. No, it wasn't too bad. It was 900, around 900 US.
Yeah, okay. Normal-ish.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
For a
yeah,
last minute
normal-ish
flight
for Emirates.
and for Emirates. Yeah.
Yeah, and not exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So not so bad. So yeah, I get here and because I had just come 3 weeks before I did from Singapore, and she just scouted out the whole process, told me about like all the different health screening, and just I came ready with all the information I would need to fill out all the cards. And bruh, let me tell you, like every step of the way, I was filling out a card with the same information.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, all like the personal information, passport number, the address at which I'm staying, which was not easy to write because it's in Korean. And yeah, that was a pain. Um, but like I passed through all those, like no problem, flying colors, like, yep, staying at this address. It's my fiance's place, empty apartment, no problem, all good. And they're like, okay, next step, on you go, fill out this new form.
Right.
Until I get to immigration. And for the first time, someone's like, oh, it's your fiance, so you're not married.
Right.
So she's not part of your family. And I was like, I mean, she is, but like we're getting married. That's why I'm here. She's like, yeah, but you're not married yet, and that's a big difference. And I'm like,
Is it?
is it though? Like, what if I told you she is my wife? Then what? Are you gonna like check me on? Are you gonna fact check me? You're gonna make me produce a document?
Yeah, I
Uh,
wonder, right? Who knows?
I've been asking myself that every day. If I had just said, no, 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 wife, it's my wife's place. Like, where would I be now?
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that you did the honest thing because, lying to an immigration officer, I think anywhere in the world can be a very, very bad thing. Okay, so then what happens?
So basically, they leave it in the hands of the quarantine judge, um, and which is the last step, like literally the last step. I've got my bag. I go through there's all the health screening. I get through immigration. I get through customs, and like I go out the door, where you meet your loved ones and hug them and then head to the curb. I'm out that door. I can see her for the first time, Josh, for the first time in 5.5 months. I see her
Oh,
in person. But between her and I is this table of dudes in like full hazmat regalia who are going to make the call on whether or not I can go spend quarantine at her place or if I have to go to a national quarantine facility. And
we know how that story ends.
yeah, and you know how that ends because we've already talked about what it's like here.
Let's
So
talk about some of the details though. So how was that process? What did they make you do to decide that you needed to go to quarantine? What happened?
yeah, basically it just all came down to can you legally prove your relationship? And the answer was no. Like we could show her the ring, we could show him like the big O engagement ring on her finger. We could show him all kinds of pictures, but I guess none of that would hold up in court. And she's pleading with him in Korean. I was so glad she was there and they're going back and forth. But I don't know what they're saying, but I can tell by the tears welling up in her eyes that it's not going well. They hand us off to some police officers. We took our time though. By the way, that like 100-meter walk from the table to the police officers. We took our time, and the
Good.
dude was getting real frustrated at us, and I did not care one little bit. We were just inching our way through the terminal, and he's looking back like, "Hurry up!" And I'm looking back at him like, "Come here and make me!" Like,
So what's the process been like for the last 7 days since you've been in quarantine? Are they going to let you out early, or what's going to happen there?
I don't know. I don't know. It says on our information packet that they'll make an announcement 2 days before it's time to go. So I really don't know what that exit process is like. I do know that I don't have coronavirus. I did get tested, and my results came back negative. Um, why I'm still in quarantine, even though it's scientifically proven that I don't have the disease, that's beyond me. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that one.
Hmm. Okay. And you guys are going to be able to get married after you get out of quarantine. What are your plans for that?
So in order to get a marriage license in Korea, I need to go to the embassy, the U.S. embassy in Seoul, and get a notarized affidavit of eligibility for marriage. Basically, a document that says I'm not already married and therefore can legally get married.
Okay.
And I And so it's got to be notarized. I have to pick it up in person, and I have to do it by appointment. And we had a major scare yesterday when we tried to set the appointment, and the earliest we could get is the 17th of July, and we're supposed to be in Hong Kong by the 10th.
Mm.
And so no affidavit means no marriage license, which means distance again, which, as you can imagine, is not an option at this point. So, but today, like, I just emailed them and begged and pleaded and told them a bit of my story, and they're like, "Yeah, we can get you in. Like, we can get you in before that, no problem."
So they're giving you kind of special permission to set an appointment. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So thank you to the U.S. Embassy for doing that, for letting me get in early. So we'll be cutting it close.
yeah.
I'm supposed to get that affidavit on the 6th, and so hopefully we have the actual marriage license by the 9th so that we can leave together on the 10th. But
Sure.
we'll see what happens.
That's going to
Tune
be,
in next time.
yeah, that's going to be tight. So let's wrap it up and let me ask you one final question. How do you think this story ends?
Oh, I have a feeling that there's going to be one more wrench that's going to be thrown into the gears. Like, just one more thing is going to blindside us. Um, I don't know what it's going to be, but just the way things are going, I don't know. I just feel like there's just going to be something. But yeah, the hope is that I get out of here, we get married, and we are both able to move to Hong Kong and start our new lives there and live happily ever after.
Well, mate, I hope so as well. In the spirit of democracy, let's do something a little democratic here. If this video gets 100 likes, then that will tell us that we need to pick back up with Traveling Trev and find out more about how this story actually ends, because we don't know. And by the time this is posted, we still won't know. Trevor will still be in quarantine. So, mate, I'm hoping all the best for you guys. Viewers, if you would, give this video a like. Send this man some well wishing that no other wrenches would be thrown into the works. And we appreciate you. If you guys like stories like this, or like other information about expat life, or you want to learn about what it's like being an expat in a city, please subscribe and follow us so that we can get the information out to you guys. Trevor, thank you so much for joining us.
See ya. Thank you.
Be blessed, man.
Cheers.